Finding love isn't easy. Add to the search, heartache or heartbreak, and the process can feel even harder and heavier. My next guest says one question that weighs on the mind of many women after a devastating breakup, a tragic loss, or even divorce: how do I know when I'm ready? We're going to tackle the timing of love after loss with dating coach Michelle Barnum Smith today. This is a big topic, and it's a hard topic. I know you recently shared some of this advice at a widow and widowers conference. It was well received. The overarching message is what? Timing matters?
Timing matters, and specifically specifically for people who've been in relationships for a long time. How do you start over brand new and jump into the dating scene? Because it's a scary world out there now from probably where they were before.
I imagine the right answer is it depends on the person. I know that. Yeah. But generally speaking, is there a good time frame that you tell people, at least not until this date or this many months or this many years?
I don't give them timelines. I give more these guidelines that we're going to talk about today, specifically because everybody's situation is different.
Sure.
So I think it's more about being in the right place emotionally and being prepared to put yourself out there, as opposed to like, you got to wait 3 months, you got to wait 3 years, you know, something like that.
After loss, after heartbreak, there's a healing that has to happen. We know that. And you say that healing should be kind of the first gut indicator on whether or not you're ready to look for love again.
Yeah, absolutely. There, you know, I tell people, like, you need to feel what you're gonna feel. You know, there's no rushing through it. The only way through it is through it. And I'm not a therapist, you know, and I tell people that, you know, I'm not here to tell you exact things as it relates to the healing steps or the grieving steps.
That emotional path.
Right, but the reality is that, you know, if you're trying to, you know, rush into another relationship to relieve yourself of the loneliness and the pain or the things that you're experiencing, then you're not ready.
Another person can't heal you, essentially.
Right. Like, that healing has to come from inside out as opposed to outside in.
So how do you know then? How do you know if you can, and I say this loosely and lightly, not to be trite, but check the healing box, like, I am ready, I am strong enough to move forward?
Yeah, I don't know that there is like a moment in time, but I think that there is a place where if you feel that you are, you're not looking for somebody else to fill you, that's a good place to be coming from. You're not looking for somebody else to heal that wounded heart. I think a lot of times, especially when people have experienced the loss of a spouse, either from divorce or from, you know, a tragic loss, they have what I call a spouse-shaped hole in their heart, you know, and they're looking and they think, oh, well, a spouse made me feel this way before, so I just need to replace that and put a new spouse in there, and that's not the case.
That's an interesting metaphor. That kind of paints an interesting picture. Yeah. You talked about this advice especially applying to someone who had been in a long-term relationship, who had been a part of a we for so long. How do you start to find the me in that again?
So my professional background is marketing, right? So I'm a marketing professional. So I think in terms of branding, targeting, and advertising. And a lot of people want to skip to advertising. They want to be like, where do I go to meet people? I need to go, you know, on Tinder or go to these parties or whatever. But the reality is you need to actually start with branding. You need to start with who you are. And when you've been a we, you know, and I experienced this as a single woman for a long time. I was like, you know, into my 30s before I became a we, and that transition from an I to a we was really hard. Well, guess what? The opposite is true as well. That you've been been a we, and now you're an I again, and you need to reconnect and re-understand who you are as a person, and answer that question, well, who am I now? What do I like? What do I not like? You know, sometimes I advise people, I'm like, you know, get a change of scenery, go out into the world, go do things that your spouse wouldn't have been interested in doing, you know?
Just like, to get a new
get a new perspective layer. and to get to know yourself again, really, because that's really what it comes down to, is that you've been a we, and now you're an I.
You use marketing principles. That's the whole basis of your coaching business, to help people find love and pursue dating. And that ties into this next idea. You want people to determine an objective, which sounds really formulaic and very businesslike of you. Well, what do you mean by objective?
Well, so once again, the spouse-shaped hole. Right? And so people think, well, I have these needs and only a spouse can meet those needs. But that's not true. Sometimes what you're feeling is a need for companionship. Well, can you find companionship not in marriage form? Absolutely. You can go make friends. You can, you know, create other opportunities. There's all these things that you might need that maybe marriage isn't the the answer to. Maybe you can find the ways to meet those needs
elsewhere.
You
like the question, what matters to you now?
Yeah. So a lot of people think, well, okay, well, I need to go find a spouse that looks exactly like my previous spouse. And what I want them to do is give themselves permission to be specific about, give themselves permission to try someone new. To give themselves to find a partner who may be a little bit different than what they thought what they previously had.
In your experience as you coach clients through this transition, do you find that they gravitate to someone who was like their previous spouse, or do you find more often than not at first?
Right.
But then if they're willing to branch out, there can be
Right, because now that you're a new person, right, you've gone from we to an I, you discover who you are again, you're naturally going to discover other things and other people that you like or don't like.
So there can be companionship, there can be passion, there can be connection in the opposite of what you had before.
Absolutely, or just in different forms, you know? And so I think the big thing is to give yourself permission. And it's not to dishonor, especially if you've lost a spouse, it's not to dishonor the memory of that previous spouse, but it's more to honor who you are today. With all of the experiences that you have up to date, give yourself permission to find something new.
It's changed you. I mean, as life does. Great advice. Thank you so much. If people want to hear more from you, get more advice and principles from your approach, where can they connect?
Marketingtomarriage.com. I have a free 5-day video course. You can kind of ease your way into this marketing approach.
Michelle, thank you so much.